Hi, my name is Sandra Sultan, and I am working towards a degree in early childhood education. Today, I'm going to be teaching a lesson entitled, How Many Are on a 10 Frame? The items that we'll be using today in order to complete this activity is a 10 frame, some counters, which just have some erasers, and some cards with numbers on them. And I'm actually using the cards from my game called Sorry. Okay, so if I was teaching this particular lesson to a student, the first thing I would do is to model how I would want or my expectations for this particular activity. The first thing they would do is to choose a card from the deck. So I'll have it just like this. They'll choose a card from the deck. The card chosen, I would have them to tell me exactly what number this is. This is number 3. Then I would have them to count out 3 counters and place them on the 10 frame. I want to make sure that, of course, they are counting out the correct numbers. And I would want to make sure that they are placing them on the 10 frame the correct way from left to right, which is something I would have already instructed them on in a previous lesson. So once they've done that, they get the opportunity to choose another card. This time we're choosing what card, what number would this be? And they would say 1, and then they would put the 1 counter onto the 10 frame. If I came across a student that is having difficulty telling me what number it is, I would ask questions like, okay, what number comes after? So for instance, if the student drew this card and didn't know what the number was, I would say, okay, what number comes after 7? And then hopefully that would give him the opportunity to answer the question, or he would know what the answer is. Or I could say, what number comes after 7? Or what number comes before 9? So those are 2 questions I could ask that particular student, hoping to give him enough information or her enough information to answer the question. And if it was enough, they're able to answer the question, great. Take, for instance, if the student was unable to answer that question and they didn't know what this particular number was, then I will go ahead and let the student know what the number is. I would tell the student, this is the number 8. So can you use your finger and trace the number 8 for me? Then I would also ask the student to show me what 8 looks like on your fingers. And after the student does that, then I would have them to go ahead and show me what the number 8 would look like on a 10 frame. Once he or she has done that, then I would ask them again, now what number did we say this was? And then we'll move on from there. If I had a student, say a student that is a gifted student, what I would do for that student is maybe go a few times letting them choose a card and placing the numbers on the 10 frame, just to make sure that they are understanding what they're supposed to do when they're able to do it. What I would do for that particular student or those students is I would actually add 2 10 frames to this. And I would let that student work with team numbers just to challenge them a bit. So for instance, if they were to draw, say, the number 12, and they say, okay, it's 12. And then I would have them to show me what that looked like on the 10 frame. Another way I could challenge that student is at the bottom of this particular 10 frame is a number bond. So what I could do with that student is, say he drew the number 12, I could actually challenge that student to figure out what 2 numbers can they put together to make the number 12. So in this case, I could say, okay, let's look at this. We already have how many counters out? They would say count 10 counters. So I would say, okay, we can actually write that number right here for number 10, because that could be a way to make the number 12. So, okay, if we look back at our counters, how many more counters would I need to add to make the number 12? And then they would say, hopefully, 2. So then we could write the number 2 on the other number bond. So then I would go over with them that 10 plus 2 equals 12, or either 2 plus 10 was equals 12. And we could do something like that just to be able to challenge that student, make it a little bit more difficult for that student. If I had a student who was an ELL student, say they spoke English fairly well, their L2, their L1 was Spanish, what I would do for that student when they chose a card, say they chose a number 4, but they're unsure what this number is, we could I would tell them what it is in their native language. So this is cuatro. What is cuatro? Cuatro is 4, and I would do the same thing. What can you show me cuatro, or the number 4, on your fingers? And I would have them do that. Then I would have them to actually show me what that number looks like on the 10 frame. If I had a student who had a disability, say a behavioral issue, I would have that student to not only take their time, but just do one thing at a time. Like, give them the card, have them to choose. Okay, this is the number 4. Okay, can you count out 4 counters for me? And then I would have them to count out the counters. Then once they've counted out the counters, I would ask them to place them on the 10 frame. So that's who I would do it for a student who may have some type of disability or behavioral issue. I would have them to count the counters out first. After they've chosen the card, count the counters out, then place them on the 10 frame. So I hope you've enjoyed the activity that I've presented to you today, and have a great day.